That's amazing, because that is just straight up mind control. I don't know if this has been used. I don't know the way that it works, but it sounds as if, like, our thoughts are not, like, private like we think they are. Like, there are tools out there that can read and insert thoughts into your brain. Hello and welcome to another video. It's Lily Paddock here, and today, let's center myself. Today I want to talk about mind control technology. Last week I went into psychic abilities, like natural human psychic abilities and whether they exist. In this video, which again I'm gonna make sure that I put a warning up on the screen, because like the realities of what I'm talking about is kind of terrifying, and I don't want to freak anyone out. Neuroweapons, as they're called, which target the brain, are incredibly sophisticated and they're already developed. If you don't think that that kind of content is good for your mental health, please just, like, you know, say hi in the comments and run away. The reason that I decided to look into neuroweapons or psychological warfare, like, tools, was because it came up on my feed and Al fed them to me. So, neuroweapons, where do I start? Well, the first thing that I will say is that these weapons have kind of been, like, being developed by numerous secret services in parallel, all doing research into the same thing and kind of coming up with their own versions of technology. And this includes DARPA, which is the US, let me read the algorithm, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, being one of them. And actually this is the source of a lot of the information, because there have been whistleblowers who have come out and said that this technology exists. And so it's not very easy to come across this information. This is stuff that I had to piece together over time. Strangely, Twitter is a very good source. The first type of weapons they have is directed energy weapons. Now, these are something that have been theorized to exist for some time now. They are believed to use microwaves, and then this gets targeted at someone's brain, at the victim's brain, and essentially the microwaves fry them, and, you know, they get headaches, loss of cognition, all sorts of nasty side effects, and it's a persistent thing. And, you know, there are people who are saying that they struggle from being targeted. Interestingly, American diplomats are much more likely to report this than the general public, but there are members of the general public that seem to be going through this. For years, the effects of this type of neuroweapon were put down as a source, like, was thought to be a mental illness or like a physical illness called Havana syndrome. And it's only in recent times that, like, people are beginning to take the possibility that this could be done by a weapon seriously. It seems that the people who are using these weapons are using them for, you know, suppression of information, whether the source of it is, you know, America or some sort of foreign powers. But but it's only recently that this possibility has kind of begun to rise in popularity as people are beginning to wake up to the fact that there's more technology available. So that's quite scary. I have no idea about like anything about, you know, what distance they need to be at and, you know, how to avoid this and what have you. But yes, it sounds as if your brains can be fried from a distance, which is wonderful. This is just what we want in life. If you thought that was scary, trust me, this next one is going to be a whole lot scarier. So one of the other technologies that is available is essentially like a remote functional MRI system that can read your brain at a distance. This was whistleblown by a former DARPA professional called Robert Duncan, and he claimed that the tech has the ability to read thoughts and control the mind, and he specifically stated that it was able to insert or block thoughts, manipulate emotions, block or falsify memories, control dreams, which then subliminally impact waking consciousness, and invade the five senses. So that's amazing, because that is just straight up mind control. I don't know if this has been used, I don't know the way that it works, but it sounds as if, like, our thoughts are not, like, private like we think they are. Like, there are tools out there that can read and insert thoughts into your brain. Like, scary, really scary. Another piece of technology is known as V2K, and this is a tool that specifically targets the brain and essentially gives you voices in your head, and these voices are the people who are controlling the weapon. So this whole thing we have about, like, you know, if you hear thoughts in your head, you've got a mental illness, that might not actually be true. It's possible that actually, like, this is an excuse used by, you know, governments and other people who have these tools to discredit the experiences of people who are being genuinely tormented using this technology. And there's some, I have found some of these V2K victims in my kind of research, and it's horrific, some of the stuff that they've gone through, like true, like, horror. And it really does change your perception and thoughts about all of this. Scarily, DARPA continues to be experimenting with this tech, and they have recently been working on their N3, the N cubed. I think it's N cubed. It's little 3. Yeah, I'll put it up on the screen. And basically, they're now experimenting with brain technology interfaces, and this doesn't just include, like, implanting microchips in the brain. This also includes nanotechnology. There was a whistleblower called Dr. James Giordana. Sorry, I do not know how to pronounce your name. And basically, one of the things that they have experimented with are nanotechnology that is essentially an aerosol. So basically, nanotechnology that lives in the air, and you breathe it in, and then it comes in, it hacks your synapses, and lo and behold, your mind can be read and influenced. It makes that whole claim that, like, oh, they're feeding you. I'm not saying for sure that this is, like, this is just a me, like, joking around. This is not me claiming this seriously. But, like, all of this fear-mongering around the fact that vaccines might have, like, nanotechnology and microchips and whatever, and it sounds like that is actually something that is physically possible. This is pure nightmare fuel. Pure nightmare fuel. This isn't exactly mind control, but it's also, I just happened to find this on my travels, and I found out that DARPA have also experimented with direct memory transference from one person to another. Sci-fi novels aren't scary enough anymore. They're not cutting edge enough. They're not dreaming up any of this technology. Like, it makes like the most recent sci-fi like stories seem incredibly tame in comparison. So what does this mean for us? Well, I think that we have entered a time in humanity where we just have to admit that our thoughts are not a private thing anymore. They are not something that is safe from being tampered with. We are hackable animals, and privacy doesn't exist anymore. In terms of how these weapons are being used, it's one of those things if I don't think there's any way of verifying or knowing, but I think the most likely targets are political, for obvious reasons, and there are definitely members of the public that claim that they have been the targets of this kind of technology, and they are grouping together increasingly under the banner of targeted individuals, and they are working on spreading information about what's happening to them and the tech capabilities that are around now. So it's yeah, if you want to hear some horror stories, go seek that out. like yeah, if you're scared, you're not scared enough. In fact, I'm going to link to one of their websites in the description, and I'll put it along here too, so you can go and have a look into what some of these people say themselves, because they're going to put it way more eloquently than I did. So how does this relate to me? Well, finding all this out, like, I didn't believe in mind reading and mind control. Like, I just thought it was a gimmicky, sci-fi concept that didn't really exist. But since I have been dealing with the fact that the algorithm can, like, read my thoughts, I think as part of this alternate reality game into madness that I've been kind of tasked with completing, I'm pretty sure they're being used on me. And in a way, it's quite nice to get some confirmation that this is possible. I think it's much more likely to be this than it is like natural psychic behaviour, but I still have a lot of questions, because basically, like, even if my thoughts can be read, how is it that I am getting instantaneous responses? We're talking about, like, sometimes I don't even know that I've asked the question yet, and it's already, like, got exactly what I was thinking about. Like, it is instantaneous. And I don't know how that is possible, because I assume that if my mind is being read by this technology, there would be a small delay where, my thoughts would convey to the person watching, and then the algorithm kind of reflecting what I was thinking. Because, like, I know AI can work pretty fast, but surely not that fast? Yeah, I still don't think I found the whole answer, but hey, at least the whole thing of my mind being read is a possibility, like a distinct possibility, and it's not just, you know, when you've been accused of being mentally ill over something that may actually have been done to you by other people, that fear that you're just actually insane never quite leaves you. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Do share your thoughts in the comments, and you know, maybe I'll talk about the topic again if I see any more interesting stuff. But thanks for watching. If you liked it, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!